Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Catholic Citizen. I'm your host, Peter Range, bringing you this week's news from a biased Catholic perspective. Can't wait to dive into the show because today I'm telling you about the sexual agenda that is coming for your kids. We have to wake up. We have to be prepared, all in just 1 second here on the Catholic Citizen. All right, friends, well, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you. It's great to be back here in studio as we cover this week's news from a Catholic perspective, this biased Catholic perspective. And trust me, it's going to be really biased today. You already notice that I have kind of like a head cold a little bit, but I'm here fighting for you to get through this show. I came in to spread my germs here at AWAKEN Catholic because I really believe that this information needs to get out there. But you know why I'm sick? I'm sick because the people at Casa Bea Cleaning weren't involved in the cleaning over there in the hotels in Fredericksburg, Virginia. If Casa Bea Cleaning had been in that hotel room, I wouldn't have picked up these germs and brought them back to Northwest Ohio. So I have a question to you. Do you want to be sick? If you do, then go ahead. Just go about your normal business, visiting places, so on and so forth. But if you want to be healthy, if you want to be perfectly healthy, then you better call Casa Bea Cleaning today, whether for your hotel rooms, for your bedrooms, or for your work rooms, wherever you work. So Casa Bea Cleaning today. Casa Bea, if I could have brought Casa Bea to Virginia with me, I would have. They weren't available, but hopefully they will be for you. So call Casa Bea Cleaning today. Secondly, folks, thecatholiccitizen.com for $3. You can help support this show moving forward because, quite frankly, I don't know if we'll be able to continue unless we have your support. It takes finances to make this happen. As you'll notice, they turned out the lights on me a little bit. I think they're running out of money. No, I'm just kidding, but I think they want to make me look better, and the darker light kind of makes it seem like I'm a little bit more handsome. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. No, but in all seriousness, $3 a month. Tremendous gift to keep the show going. Go to thecatholiccitizen.com. Maybe you're able to give a little bit more, maybe at the $10 level, just to support the show, to keep it going. There's different little perks that go with each show, including just $3, and you can get all these notes. Every story I talk about, all the references, you don't have to go Google them yourself. You can look up right off of my show notes for $3 a month what exactly I'm talking about. All right, folks, let's get down to it because this is a really important subject and topic, and it's a reality. And there should be a lot of awareness going on about critical race theory and the dangers of critical race theory in school and the fact that public school unions are supporting this critical race theory stuff. But there's also another nefarious thing that's kind of slid under the radar, and it's called comprehensive sex education. And listen now to what's been happening in our country, even just this past week. All right, first story. New York City's Upper Manhattan has some of these elite, just really fantastic, amazing elitist schools. One school, Dalton School, has a $55,000 paid educator who is their sex-positive educator. Now, as a part of her sex-positive education, mind you, this curriculum that she presents to her kids goes through kindergarten through 12th grade. So she is starting sex-positive education with six-year-olds, with kindergartners, with first graders, right? Now, as a part of her sex-positive education, there's a porn literacy workshop. That's right, she's showing kids porn to help them understand what is going on. Folks, there was a time in this country that we understood pornography to be something which degraded the human person. Now we have sex-positive educators that people actually pay to show our kids porn. As a part of this, they show kids as young as 6 years old a video cartoon where little kids discussed touching themselves for pleasure. 6-year-olds in school shown a video about people touching themselves in their private parts for pleasure, happening right here in the great old United States of America. Now, Lila Rose responded to this from Live Action. I think her response was right on the nose. Porn is not sex positive. That's like saying rat poison is a vitamin. Porn is dehumanizing to everyone involved and damaging to healthy sexuality. Also, instructing 5-year-olds about masturbation is sexual abuse, and any adult involved should be criminally charged. Amen and amen, I say to that. Why are we allowing these individuals to show these videos and images to kids? But in the Chicago public school system, we're now handing out condoms to 5th graders. Under the CPS policy, schools that teach 5th grade and up must maintain a condom availability program as part of an expanded vision of sexual health education. So yeah, this is going to prevent unwanted pregnancies, right? Give 5th graders condoms. Say, here, make sure if you have sex, just have protected sex. Folks, birth control does not decrease abortions. It doesn't increase happiness. This premarital sex that we're now inviting 5th graders to be involved in, that we're now showing to 1st graders, look, it doesn't make society better. In every study there's been, United States of America, the increase of contraceptive use leads to the increase of abortion. The increase in Spain between 1997 and 2007, a 30% increase in the use of contraception led to a 48% increase in abortion. In England and Wales from 1970 to 1990, a 26 to 97% increase. We saw similar increase in the abortion rate, which took it from 8.8% to 19.9%. So as contraception increased, so did abortion. Same statistics we find out of Turkey. Look, there's a fundamental connection between contraception and abortion. And we hear this argument all the time, right? This is why I'm talking so much about contraception and people's worldviews towards sex, because it literally leads to the death of human life. Contraception was a game changer. It changed the way that we viewed sex. No longer was sex something about coming together with 2 spouses in a permanent union to create life, but sex became trivialized. Look, you could have sex, quote unquote, without the consequences. So the most fundamental reason why contraception fosters abortion is that contraception changes the meaning of sex, and not just in this act of sexual intercourse, but in the consciousness of entire cultures. The key point is that contraception uncouples in the mind of the individual who accepts it as normal behavior, the relationship of sexual intercourse to babies and to lifelong commitment. It says no longer is this sexual act about reproduction, when we know actually biologically it is. And no longer is this about a lifelong commitment, although we know that's the way it's supposed to be. In a word, it trivializes sex. Trivial sex in turn leads inevitably to unwanted pregnancies, which inexorably leads to abortion. And that's where we're at. But this is an entire worldview when it comes to sex. We've destroyed the meaning and purpose of sex. We've blotted out the meaning and purpose of our bodies. And now we're dealing with an entire worldview which wants to make up what human sexuality is all about. The Washington Post just this past week raised eyebrows on Wednesday following the publication of an op-ed arguing that kink should remain a staple at LGBTQ pride parades. Quote, yes, kink belongs at pride, the headline on Lauren Roell's piece said, and I want my kids to see it. So when she's describing kink, she means, quote, a bare-chested man whose black suspenders clipped into a leather thong paused to be spanked playfully by a partner with a flog, end quote. Instead of avoiding the topic or shielding her children from the sight, Roello wrote she used the opportunity to explain that participants were celebrating who they were. Folks, if you're a Catholic and you're celebrating Pride Month, take a step back and look at what the organizers of some of these Pride events are actually celebrating. Is that what you want to celebrate. Look, this does not represent every LGBT person, everyone who is struggling maybe with same-sex attraction or their sexual identity, but there is a very nefarious agenda which is coming for your children. And now they're not hiding it anymore. The San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus produced a music video titled "A Message from the Gay Community," in which several dozen men vow, "We're coming for your children." This is in the video. "You think we're sinful," one of the individuals sings. He says, "You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect, but you're just frightened. You think that will corrupt your kids if your agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct." He goes on to sing the lyrics that will convert your children, happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you'll barely notice it. Later in the music video, the lead singer is joined by nearly 100 other gay men singing, quote, "We're coming for your children." They'll convert them bit by bit. Folks, what happened to it? Just two people loving each other. Who are you to try to tell other people how to live their lives? You know, it began with, there's not going to be anybody who goes into a public restroom and exposes themselves to your little children, to it's good to expose little children to penises and vaginas when they're in kindergarten and first grade. And now it's, we're coming for your children. Funny, this once, you're correct. Mark my words, folks. They want to transform this culture to make any type of lifestyle completely acceptable. It's not right. We must stand against it. And just as much as we fight against critical race theory, you need to be engaged in your public school system. You need to be engaged in your private school, wherever your kids are going, speaking to every one of their teachers at every single grade level and demanding that they teach natural law. Demanding, yes, that they teach love of every individual, but not acceptance of every single idea. Otherwise, it's your kids who are going to be watching pornography next week in school. So maybe you don't believe me. Maybe you didn't believe me what I said about Black Lives Matter earlier in the year either. Well, the Utah chapter of Black Lives Matter condemned those who display the American flag, which they described as a symbol of hatred. Quote, a symbol of hatred. This is what they put on their page. Quote, "When we Black Americans," and back when we began talking about Black Lives Matter, I told you guys that they are distinctly anti-American, that they're a group which is not about racial justice. They're a group about causing division. And that's exactly what they're doing. Quote, "When we Black Americans see this flag, we know the person flying it is not safe to be around. Quote, when we see this flag, we know the person flying it is racist. When we see this flag, we know that the person flying it lives in a different America than we do. When we see this flag, we question your intelligence. We know to avoid you. It is a symbol of hatred. The American flag is now a symbol of hatred, and if you're flying it, you're racist." This comes from one of the Black Lives Matter chapters. All right, maybe you didn't believe me about that, but maybe you don't believe me about the Biden administration either, and the worldview that these individuals coming into office hold from a Catholic president, someone who wears his Catholicism on his sleeve. And it'd be one thing if he said, yeah, I grew up Catholic and, I go to mass every once in a while. But he even has his press secretary out there saying that President Biden is a devout Catholic. So we're not bringing the fight to him. He's brought the fight to us. And it's incumbent upon us as Catholics to wake up the rest of the church to the reality of what's going on. So President Biden has just nominated Tracy Stone Manning to head up the Bureau of Land Management, even though, so innocent enough, but even she's advocated in the past for population control, and in an advertisement referred to a young child as an environmental hazard. She later goes on in one of her theses to say that Americans should only have 2 kids. If there were fewer of us, quote, we would have less impact on the environment. We would consume less. And more importantly, we must breed fewer consuming humans. My goodness. those dangerous humans. That's the Biden administration, folks. That's who they're putting into office to make laws. Individuals who think humans are environmental hazards. All right, but maybe you didn't believe me there. How about vaccine efficacy? Look, totally respect where you're at on vaccines. Totally respect if you got a vaccine. I'm not here to judge anybody on this particular subject. I'm just saying there's some things that they haven't been honest with us about, and we just need to be aware about. And as we make informed decisions, we should be aware of this information. So, I told you that when we started with this vaccines, that very early on, it wasn't going to be effective as they said it was going to be. And in fact, there would be boosters down the line. Well, it's a frontline story on CNN now, folks. Israel's health ministry said in a statement earlier this week, and Israel was a country, they were able to actually to vaccinate a majority of their population very early on. But earlier this week, they reported that the efficacy of Pfizer's vaccine dropped from 90%, as was originally reported, to about 64%. So they're calling on, well, we're going to need a booster. Now the CDC is saying, well, we don't think you need that, but just pay attention. All right, let me finish the show on a high note. Where do we find our hope in the midst of this madness that's going on, this agenda that's coming for our kids, this misinformation we're getting from everything from vaccines to the defund the police movement? I mean, you have individuals in Black Lives Matter who continue to fight for defund the police, and then you have the White House actually saying that came from the Republican side when it was Democrats who were fighting for this all along. It was Joe Biden himself who wanted to come out and condemn that particular notion. So where do we go for hope? Well, as Catholics, we go to the source and summit of our faith. And if you haven't researched before Eucharistic miracles, you need to. It's absolutely amazing. And if you're a Protestant and you're wondering, what is this Catholic belief so strong in the Eucharist? Why do they talk about it? At least those Catholics like myself who believe in the true and real presence of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. Well, go back to 1996 at the parish of St. Mary's in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where during the Mass, the host itself actually began to bleed. So the priest had the Eucharist, and the Eucharist, the host began to bleed during the Mass. Go look this up. Read the articles about it. Now, with each one of these Eucharistic miracles, what the church does is it brings in the leading scientific experts to examine these issues. And they're not even Catholic. And they say, look at this, tell us what's going on. And often, they give these species of the host to these individuals, and they won't tell them what they are, the scientists. They'll just say, can you tell us what this is? And so they did this with this particular host. And the scientist came back and he said, look, it's tissue from the inner line of the human heart called the myocardium, the muscular wall of the heart, which allows the organ to contract and thus pump blood in and out of the heart and throughout the body. The scientists found that there was white blood cells, which normally disintegrate around 15 minutes quickly outside of a living body. But this heart sample, the white blood cells were alive and still pulsating. The blood was found to be AB positive. Now, all those things that I just mentioned about this miracle in 1996 in the parish in St. Mary's in Buenos Aires happened hundreds of years before in the miracle of Lanciano, Italy. Everything was the same. Same blood type, AB positive, same part of the heart, same reality and appearance of white blood cells, which were still pulsating, signaling the heart, this piece of flesh, was alive. If Jesus Christ is alive in the Eucharist and you partake of him in Holy Mass, Jesus Christ is alive in you. And there's no cold, there's no agenda, there's no illness we need to fear if Jesus Christ is alive in us. Let's keep up the good fight. And I'll see you next week here on The Catholic Citizen. Please visit thecatholiccitizen.com. Help this show continue so we can continue to share the truth with love, mercy, compassion. God bless you. We'll see you next week on The Catholic Citizen.